Bub, I got no snare in my headphones, but we're doing it anyway. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode, Bub, episode 47 of the 740
47.
Sports Show.
You got a 47?
I got one if you got one, go.
I don't.
Mike Allstott.
Was he 47?
I thought he
I feel like
was.
we've been waiting for this episode for like 4 weeks
I
now.
feel as though we prepared for this moment. I feel like he was 47. We'll look it up afterwards, but that's who I got in mind. Bub,
Mhm.
welcome to the show, my lifetime long brother, Bub. How are you doing this evening on a very mild, based on what the weather has been, evening in the 740?
Yeah, it's definitely not been as sunny as the past week was. Definitely cooled down too. But no, I picked up a new shirt over the weekend.
You did.
As you can see, it's got a black Labrador on it
It
with
does.
a American flag bandana. And this is only like 1/4 of my 4th of July outfit coming up. So this is
Yeah.
just like a little sneak peek at what's to come.
Yeah.
So
Well,
overall,
hey,
it was a great weekend.
I saw the length of those shorts, so based on that outfit, that might be like 2/3 of what's to come. But
Oh yeah,
nonetheless,
you did get to see the shorts, but
I
nobody
saw I,
else has
s-
really seen the shorts.
I saw the whole kit and caboodle, but nonetheless, Bub, you're going to be well prepared
Mhm.
when Independence Day rolls around. Also, the 4th of July, Bub.
Yeah,
Independence Day.
yeah,
That
I learned that this year.
you've learned that recently, and both are the same day, but we're looking forward to it. And we always like to celebrate around that time, man. It's always a good time.
Absolutely, take advantage of it.
Absolutely, we love our Independence Day in the country, and we're happy to be here. Bub, how was your weekend? What have you done between last Thursday, the last time we really had an opportunity to talk, and now?
I watched the hockey finals, Game 7.
Sick.
Florida broke the hearts of Edmonton.
They sure did.
They just teased them, let them come back from that 3-0 to tie it up, and then
Yep.
just break their
Two
hearts 2-1.
2-1, Bub. An
And the
absolute.
ending of it was so stupid. I almost quit watching hockey after I watched the last 15 seconds of that game, and they were just all piled up in the corner of the rink. I don't even know if you can classify it as a corner, but they somehow turned it into a corner and just
They did.
huddled around the puck for 15 seconds. And
Yeah,
oh, it was. I can't watch hockey and that the last 15 seconds end like that. I can't do it.
that's fair. That's fair. Well, hey, while you were working on, NHL hockey and watching NHL hockey and doing all the fun things leading up to, I spent a little bit of time doing something over the weekend locally. Gus Macker basketball in
Oh yeah.
Waverly. It
Hmm.
was a great time. I got my picture taken, Bub, with the Gus Macker mascot.
Did you?
I did. It was awesome. It
You
was
got
absolutely.
you got your picture taken with the one in Chillicothe too, right?
No, I couldn't find the one
Mm.
in Chillicothe, so I got
We
my
seen
picture
him
taken with.
once.
We did see him, but we couldn't track him down. And there were little kids involved getting their pictures. I wasn't going to step in the way of little kids getting their photos with the Gus Macker mascot. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh,
I
wait.
feel like it was you just didn't feel like you were athletic enough to traverse the pathway that was to get to him.
Do you think you could have gotten there?
No, but I would admit that I'm not athletic enough.
Wow. Bub, rest assured, I am well capable of getting. Bub, if I can get through the Walmart grocery aisle on, say, the first of the month, I can get through anything, brother. I can get through anything. Gus Macker was awesome. We had an opportunity to hang out with some cool people there. We were there on behalf of our friends at 100.9 Hank FM. It was a great time, but also we took our 740 sports time to watch and do some stuff as well. That guy right there, Bub, that's Bill Shepard. He's
Oh,
from the Recovery Council in Waverly. He is he's one of the folks that helped put this thing on. He's an awesome dude. He
gotcha.
is he's an awesome dude. His daughter, Sydney, is also a part of the Gus Mackers. She stopped by for an interview. She runs like the apparel part, bub. She was killer. She had an awesome like vibe and persona, and
Hmm.
she loved everything about Gus Macker basketball. She's been doing it for 6 years, and so it's like a family thing for them. And we all had a great time, but we were happy to be there. We got a little bit of a video coming up on our 740 Sports page on Facebook here, with some of the highlights that we took away. There was a lot of good basketball played there, bub.
Is it the good video? Do you have a picture of the lady that was dropping f bombs?
Um, we don't we do
Oh,
on 100.9 Hank FM. the
Yeah.
Total Media radio station, but we personally at this point do not. Her name was Ty. She was from St. Louis, Missouri. They drove 7 hours all the way up here, and she drove 7 hours to not only play ball but to also give us the greatest interview of the weekend, and we appreciated that from her,
It was
bub.
pure. It was
It
a pure interview.
it was authentic, and that's all we ever ask for, bub.
Mhm.
That's all we ever want. So it was killer, and it was a great time. So, bub, we've got other things though going on in the 740, particularly tonight. We are going to have the opportunity to speak with a figure who recently, bub, has been involved in some stuff going on in the head coaching circuit around the 740 area after a notable departure from Oak Hill. Tyler Kratzenberg is joining the show this evening, and we're going to get the opportunity to talk with him and kind of get his his side of that, but also just his overall perspective on football, bub. He's a 740 football guy. We're
Yeah.
740 football guys, and just another dude with a beard joining the show talking about football. Tyler Kratzenberg is going to be here, and we're happy to have him be a part of this. So, if that interests you, which it does us, go ahead, lace him up, strap him up, tie him up, do what it is you got to do to get yourself ready for this episode number 47 of the 740 Sports Show. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode number 47 of the 740 Sports Show. And I am now joined by my lifelong brother, Bub. Bub, welcome to the show.
It's good to be back in person with you and everything. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy. No, we talked to Tyler a little bit before the show, and we got some some commonality between each other. We shared a very hard-fought game in 2010. So,
Yeah,
I'm excited to talk to him about that, and as well as we got a lot of good questions to ask him coming up. So
yeah, we do, man. And Tyler, like we said, Bob, Tyler was unfortunately, the byproduct of a little bit of, I don't want to say a controversy, but it was a situation where he left Oak Hill. I don't think on the terms that he anticipated that, he would leave Oak Hill. And he's here with us this evening, and we're going to give him the opportunity to speak about that situation right here. So Tyler, we're going to go ahead and bring you in here. So welcome to the show, our good buddy from Ironton, Oak Hill, Amanda Clear, a little bit everywhere, just a 740 football guy. Tyler Kratzenberg, welcome to the show, man. How you doing this evening?
Good, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. We're happy to have you this evening. And we're, like I said, man, just happy for you to be involved in what we got going on here on the 740 Sports Show. And we're going to, I'd like to first ask you, I'd like to go ahead and begin with this, brother. How's your summer going?
Summer's been good. Definitely a different summer than the previous two. Going from being a head coach to now I'm back being an assistant, enrolled into a master's program. And, I'm going to be a middle school athletic director as well, come August.
Yeah.
So,
God dang, you're a busy man.
yeah,
brother.
I mean, like you said, it's different summer than, I'd experienced in the last couple of years. I mean, I coached basketball too with Coach McKinnis the last 2 years. So we were, shootouts and open gym. But no, like I said, I mean, I'm still busy. It's a different busy. I'm still getting used to kind of my, I tell people my new routine. I mean, I'm busy. It's just different type of busy. But I mean, it keeps me going. Like I said, I've enjoyed the new route and avenue, but it's kind of one of those things that's, new is good and it's going well, and I'm just kind of adjusting and going with the flow.
Yeah. You mentioned too, man, you also got a little bit of another passion going on this summer as well, which I think is awesome. Just Tyler, when I was coaching, which, was 2016, 2020, whatever, I also was involved in athletics myself, which I valued highly. You're also playing some softball as well this summer, which I love. And you just got back from Cincinnati this evening, and you're joining us. Talk to us a little bit about your summer softball stuff and what you got going on, man.
So we started, I think, back in 2000, like the summer 2018. Like you guys know, when you get done playing, I mean, I played college for 3 years.
Yeah.
Kind of banged up. I wanted to coach. I knew that. And then, but, just kind of like now you're an adult in the world, like, now what am I supposed to do? So everybody's like, well, you're going to play golf when you get done with college football. And I was like, never really liked golf. I mean, I play a little bit more now, but at that point in time, I was like, man, it's slow. Like, I can run, I can move, I can still play. So
Yeah.
got into it, got addicted to it. We played and kind of had like our own team. Like we had the local wash-ups. I mean, we went from guys from like the Bub Hayslips of the world. We had Alex Shears, who won a state title at Wheelersburg.
Okay.
Some Greenup County Cats.
Yeah.
We just picked up a bunch of guys who, were has-beens and washed-ups. We won the state tournament our very first year. We had no idea what we were doing. Then we bumped 2 classes up and played for a team that was fully sponsored in Cincinnati. Like a guy paid for everything, and we just had to show up and play.
Nice.
But that was then we played guys who were getting paid. Like, so at the highest level, it's called the conference. So there's guys who, like, all the bats are sponsored by that has their names on them. So we were playing, like, we were in the middle. Like, we had enough teams to play in our division, but we'd also play in open events. So we played against guys who are getting flown out, like Texas and Vegas to play. And, like, I mean, there's some guys that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars to hit, a pitch underhanded. And we've played against guys. But
that's a great perspective, man.
It's fun. It keeps me out of trouble. Like I said, the things you can be doing on the weekend at 24, 25. I mean, you're playing until, you lose the first game and you're, rallying through the loser's bracket like any other tournament we've ever played in. Like Gus Macker saying, like, you're doing it the hard way. So you're going to be every hour you're playing. There is no time.
Yeah.
So, but it's been fun. I mean, like I said, it's play with a lot of good people, seen a lot of good people, met a lot of great people in the game. Some guys that coach, like, you're like, oh, you played with so and so. It's just another brotherhood world of a different sport. But it's been fun.
That's awesome, man. And I'm with you, brother. Once you get done playing, you got to find something to do. Bub, you're about the only person I've ever met who took athletics that seriously and didn't find something else to do. I don't know how you did it, man. You're crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Golf. I mean, I found love in golf because you could drink beer and still have like a great time and still feel like somewhat of an athlete. But then you do that a little too many times and, but no, I just never really found another sport that I fell in love with after football.
Yeah, well, rest assured, you weren't half as good at football or at golf as you were football, that's for sure. But neither here nor there. Kratz, man, we thank you for being here. We know you've had a busy summer. We know now that you've got quite a few things going on this summer. So that's awesome. We love to hear that you got a busy summer going on. But man, you're also a guy that's kind of, you've been around 740 football. You're from Ironton. You've coached a little bit of everywhere. You started coaching Amanda Clear Creek 2015. You've coached at Rock Hill, Dixie Heights in Kentucky, and obviously, most notably, Oak Hill as the head coach for their football squad. So talk to me a little bit about, you've seen a lot of ball. What's your take on the game of football today, high school football, in the 740 Southeastern Ohio?
Man, I mean, even like from when we played, in the early 10s, 08, 09, 10, 11, 12, that era, it's changed from the traditional full house, wing, ground and pound mentality. But I do think still, like when we came back, or I came back, it was, everybody's still going to try to slam it down your throat. It just may look a little different.
Right.
I think it is still a ground and pound area, but also I think the biggest reason for that is a lot of guys will have sat on staffs for, several years, and then they take their turn at an opportunity. When you get to branch out, I've been very, very, very lucky and fortunate to work for, I think it's like 5 head coaches now, or 4 different, 4 than myself, but
Right.
To see the level of ball, like Dixie Heights was Division I, it's compatible to Division I. So we played Covington Catholic, where Michael Mayer played, who now plays for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Raiders.
So then you have, your region and district stuff like Kentucky does. I mean, you're playing Riles of the world, where Tanner Morgan played at Minnesota. He played against the Buckeyes. Just the evolving. I think Southeast Ohio evolves latter, just in my experience, just because resources is huge. The way that so in Kentucky, they're districts. So districts get relined every 2 years. Now most of them stay the same because you don't have a school jumping from Division 7 to Division 4.
Right.
But their play factor is kind of like how competitive you are, that type of stuff, and they may move you around. But Ohio, like, let's think about the Southeast Ohio. There's 5 leagues, right? There's the OVC, there's the FAC, there's the SVC,
TVC,
TVC,
SOC,
and SOC. There's 5.
Yep.
So what changes have been made in those 5 leagues, other than the FAC being created because of downfall of what we played in the SOAL?
Yeah.
So those other 4 have been around since dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So look at the evolution of those leagues. Nothing really changes, and that's why there's a lot of non-evolving and kind of what they say, the same old that happens in this area. But there's a lot of good coaches. There's a lot of good players. I think the resources. I went to Valdosta, Georgia, which you would have played against. Well, you both would have played against Jeff Golden that played at Gallia.
Yeah, Gallia Academy.
Yep.
So he is the OC at Valdosta High School, and I went down and hung out with him for 2-3 days during their spring practice. And I've been to Gainesville the summer before with Niblett, who was at Hoover High, the show 2-a-days. He was the guy who replaced Rush Probst. So I went down.
We were just talking about that 2 days ago.
We just talked about
yesterday.
This a few days ago. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, because we were talking about John.
Yeah, we were talking about John
McElroy.
Parker Wilson.
Yep.
John Parker Wilson.
John Parker. Yeah, we were talking about all this just 2 days ago. Man, this is crazy. Yeah.
So Niblett replaced Probst, which, like I said, I mean, that program in Hoover was. I mean, he made 13 Phenomenal. State finals and won 7 out of the 14 years he was there.
That's insane.
And then, like I said, I went and saw them spring practice and things. That was his first year at Gainesville. But in the South, like, you look at guys like Ironton's very high competitive, Wheelersburg, Jackson. Like, there's only 4 or 5 that eat from the big table.
Oh, man.
So I just think that the being around and seeing, like, it really opened your eyes. Because if people don't get the opportunity to leave and not see outside their driveway, they're not going to see. You know what I mean? So that's been my thing. So the more I see it, I'm like, man, I'm more and more hungry to see, like, well, what else is out there? Like, how can I it'll help me get better.
Right.
I mean, you can have all the X's and O's you want, but just understanding how the business works and what people are willing to put in, because the same things that, people put into, the teams like River Valleys and the Oak Hills are not the same as Ironton and Jackson. Right. Like the investments and the support, like of the financial standpoint. And then you look at Valdosta and Gainesville, like Ironton and Wheelersburg and Jackson are not even comparable to that because the money,
exactly.
The comparison is huge. It's just such a different way in of investment and support. Like, and Jeff was telling me when we were down there, he was like, I said, what do you guys teach? They said, Kratz, we don't teach. I'm in the field house all day. So he's an high school offense coordinator like all day. Now these PE certified and stuff, but he was like, if we don't win, like we're out because this is the business. This is just like college.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And Bud, like you mentioned, the fact that we were just talking about this was nuts. Like you've seen, like I said, I mentioned before, I was hoping to speak to you about football in the 740. I never anticipated, Bub, that we'd be talking about football in the US of A.
Yeah.
But here we are, man.
Taking it all the way down to Alabama and Florida.
And I'll tell you what, man, it's interesting to hear because we just brought up Jeff Golden the other day. We were talking about some of our most notable 740 athletes just the other day. And we brought up Jeff Golden, the guy, with Jamie Haggerty, of course, the Golden and Haggerty show, GAHS. And we just talked about him the other day. It's interesting to know that he's still involved in ball, and it's down at one of the most premier schools in the country.
Oh, at the highest level, 100%.
You know what I mean? The highest level of football. So, good for him, man. That's awesome to hear. And you also touched on a couple of schools, and I kind of figured you'd take it this direction. So I gotta know, if you had to name the best 5 programs in the 740 Southeastern Ohio at this particular moment, because you're not involved in any of them, correct? Right, particular now.
No, I'm across the bridge, but I'm
okay.
Right.
All right. I gotta know, man, if you're willing to give us, and you don't have to rank them, but I gotta know. You can rank them if you want to be extra compelling. You seem like a guy that's willing to roll the dice, but if you don't want to, that's cool. Give me your top 5 programs in Southeast Ohio at this particular moment.
Where does the 740 and 614 stop is the question.
Hey, you name a school, I'll tell you if it counts. Hey, Bub can tell you if it counts.
Yeah.
He's the judge.
I mean, right now, just in the sense of competitive or reoccurring competitiveness, I mean, and there's some things with Ironton that I don't that's different than when I was there. I think, track record wise, I mean, they're one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because of, they didn't get out of the region last year, which was the first time.
He's ranking them, Bub. He's ranking them, Bub. I love that he's ranking them.
And again, like I said, Ironton comes with a different hold for me because, I played for Coach Lutz, who was, like we said, the old school,
Legend.
Different.
Legend. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, but see that it's tough. But I would say Berg and Jackson are second together. So we'll have.
That's
2
exactly what I would say as well.
Because
I agree with him.
Because
he's right so far.
Well, and Andy will see this and he'll call me and he'll aggravate me. But I mean, he and I talk all the time. Like, Jackson is in a situation of false Division III. So you have to, again, we talked about leagues, right?
We did.
You have to play in it. I'm not going to say a bad league. I'm not going to say that, but the non-conference is what makes and breaks them in their season. That's what helps
with
them.
Jackson.
Yes, 100%.
Wholeheartedly, 100%.
I agree.
We agree on that 100%.
So
the FAC isn't a conference you're going to hang your hat on necessarily.
Correct.
I agree with you. I'm 100% on that page with you, Tyler.
So you have to. I mean, you're getting through 5 games. Which I think, don't they play 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? Is that how theirs works? The last 6?
Yeah, they end the season with the FAC.
It's all 5 or 6 FAC games to end the year, I believe.
So you play the first half as a true D3 schedule. I mean, he's got Ross. He used to have he had Berg as a scrimmage forever. I think it's a game now, isn't it?
It is a game. But just so you know, that number 2A that you mentioned, Berg, hasn't beaten Jackson since 2018. That's 6 years in my book.
Correct.
Neither
I'll get to their.
Hey, I got there here or there, brother. You keep doing your thing. I'm letting you cook tonight.
They won that state championship.
There you go. That's hey, they did, man. They earned that state championship too.
They, I think, and it's hard for any of those guys because, like you said, and he's the same way. We've talked about it. You got to play the lesser competition at the worst timing.
The worst time of the year, man.
That's horrible scheduling.
That's terrible.
But that's how leagues are set up. Those
it
are
is.
Because, people complain about, well, we can't get games in 7, 8, 9. Well, I've done independent schedules.
I have a hard time, questioning that Jackson couldn't find 5 games on their schedule to replace the teams that are now in the FAC. If they can go to Cincinnati and play, I feel like they could find teams in the area. Even an hour away, you give it an hour and a half away, 2 hours.
That's fair.
Scheduling's a different thing in Southeast Ohio, man. Like people, not everybody, because I think Andy will play whoever he doesn't care.
Yeah,
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I love that from that man. Bless his heart.
I think the toughest thing is, having people who are willing to make phone calls. Now, your school district has to be willing to travel. If they are not on board with that, I mean, we did some things, or I did some things scheduling wise and had some options that I wanted to do that didn't happen because I know so many people. So, but it goes back to doing one thing, business. I mean, high school sports, and depending on what you want to invest in, is a business. So, like at the end of the day, so let's talk, I'll be honest. And I told Andy he was a bully for this. They're going to play Gallia Academy. And that's fine. I think Cole did a great job there. He was we were in the same situation. I feel like we talked a little bit, but
yep.
Jackson's going to play Gallia Academy. I'm just going to be honest. It's a terrible game for Gallia. All that is a money bring in.
Okay.
It is because you're rebuilding a program again.
Yeah.
After it come off 2 9-3 seasons. But here's the worst part, and this is where I got some bad blood. You do that and make that decision without a current head coach. Your head coaching position is vacant, and you make that call. That's the problem. That's the problem with these schools and what I would say some of these scheduling issues are.
Okay.
They do not consult.
So let me ask you a question, Tyler. Has Gallia Academy named a head coach for 2024?
Have they named one?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay. Nothing. So the decision to play Jackson was made while Gallia had a vacant head coaching position?
Correct.
Oh my gosh.
Talk
that
about
guy
setting
didn't
kids
really,
up to
okay,
fail.
because let me tell you something, Tyler. I'm from Jackson. Bub's from Jackson. You know these things, of
Yep.
course. You guys were involved in one of the greatest games in the history of Jackson Ironman football, the triple overtime game in 2010. But I did not realize that. I was super excited to hear that rivalry come back because for the longest time, Wellston and Jackson were rivals. Wellston, Jackson.
And that was a Saturday night game forever, wasn't it?
And it was.
It was.
And I'll be honest with you, Tyler, and we've never said this on air before. When I tell you nobody on the roster from Jackson could have cared any less about Wellston, knowing Gallipolis was 5-6 weeks down the road, nobody could have cared less.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a you have to win game. It felt like a playoff game to start the year because you couldn't lose. I mean, Bub was a part of that. We'll let Bub talk about that another time. But like it was a completely different thing. So again, really interesting to hear, what you've got to say about a lot of these things, man.
Well, I mean, the Gallia game, like I said, they're hiring, they had to rehire a coach, a younger coach who's never been a head coach. I've heard good things about the places he's been. I don't know him. But again, like I said, you were building some success, at least on paper. And
they were a 2 seed or 3 seed last year, right?
Were they
top 5?
I think he hosted his first. So last year, I think they did host their first round at home, and then they went to Indian Valley or Indian Creek or whichever one.
That's right. Yep. That's right.
Because they hosted Vinton County at home.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was Vinton County. Their first
it was
game.
a pretty big blowout.
Yeah, that was. But again, go back to scheduling. Vinton County is a huge school. Carper did a fantastic job. I got a lot of respect for him. Greg Phillips was the DC who did a lot of behind the scenes for me my first year at Oak Hill, who was there back when they were loaded. But again, you've got to play your River Valleys. You got to play Alexander's down. Their head coach does a great job, but the resources are – I mean, that's the biggest difference is, and I'll kind of get off on that. Like I came back knowing the program I took over was bad. I knew it because I've known the Jesse Sloans, the Wessons, the Drew Cannons. I knew because I called before, but I wasn't the first choice the original time either.
Sure.
There was a guy hired before me the January of 2022 because I was assured that it was pretty much my job in January. Yeah. So I had like 28 days on my lease in Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky. Going to let it run out, move home, get the job. Kind of got a phone call like, yeah, something kind of went sideways, and they went with some guy we don't know. And so I just re-signed the lease, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, middle of the 1st of May comes around, and I get a phone call. Would you still be interested in taking the Oak Hill job? We kind of made a mistake.
Yeah.
I said, yeah. I said, but there's a couple of things that are going to have to be, put in perspective. I'm going to hire my own staff. I want guys that come back that have not been involved in a long time.
Right.
I want to be left alone. And
that's the biggest thing.
There were some other things we discussed.
To you it is. Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I brought some guys back who were involved, when they were good that have not been around or involved. But like I said, that was my biggest thing is we got there and evaluated, and I knew it was bad, but I didn't know how bad.
Right.
When I got hired and I thought I was going to get to see him at school. Well, school was already out.
Yeah. Oh boy.
So
yeah.
It was you playing behind the 8 ball, and then like you want to, but like you said, you're going to walk into if I was at Gallia, which I made this joke, and we'll put it out there. I wanted to interview at Gallia, which I never did. I never applied, never showed an interest. I wanted to go
Yeah.
to be interviewed, and I wanted to ask that question. I wanted to ask and say, why did you schedule Jackson without a head coach current to consult with? I said, because this is an automatic loss in the situation you're in. You're only worried about money.
Yeah.
I mean, Jackson travels. I mean, this
We
is
do.
huge rivalry.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah. It's massive.
And you're still got – I mean, they're out of the league, Ironton is, but Gallia still plays Ironton. So why are you doubling up on –
8-2.
I mean, so at that point, won't you just call
I hate both
Wheelersburg
of those
too?
games for 'em.
Yeah. Go ahead and start the year at 7-3 and be done with it.
But
Wow,
I mean, like
yeah.
I said, and those are. I mean, you're behind. They hired late. They had They opened it twice. I mean, they went through their
Yeah.
process twice.
Yeah. That's a great point. And we'll listen, man. I'm going to touch on. I'm glad you brought up the Gallia rivalry again, because we needed to talk about that, and I'm glad we had that opportunity. We'll get to Oak Hill. You mentioned Jackson, Ironton, and Wheelersburg. I'll give you the 2A there. I got it. Man, I need 3 more, because that's the first 3 that come to our minds here as well. I know Bub
Sure.
and I would agree.
So, 5 months ago, I'd have put Gallia in the 3, but now, I mean,
I would have too. With Cole there, I was with you.
Yep. Oh goodness. I would say. Oh shoot! I'm trying to think.
Throw out some names there.
I would say
I
now.
got a couple names here.
I think those are good names that I wouldn't have thought of, like off the top of my head.
Well, I went to Jackson Tri-Valley last year. I don't know if I consider Tri-Valley 7-4-0 or not. But
No,
man,
they're up there with like Zanesville and Licking
I
Valley.
know, but they again, I don't know how you asked about how far up are we going, how far over. I'm loving your perspective as well. I also threw in Sheridan and Tribble, so a couple of names that have recent success, storied programs just came to the front of my mind. But man, I can't wait to hear yours, Tyler.
I mean, I coached in the
Bloomfield?
LCL, so I mean, we had
Carroll.
Bloom Carroll was another one that came to mind.
Oh man, that I think when you change coaches like that and you have that it just that next year after kind of defines where it's going to go after.
Yeah.
When Wade was there, 100%, they would probably be they'd probably be one.
Yeah.
See, I didn't coach against Sheridan. I coached against Zanesville.
We got a butt whooping from Zanesville.
Man, when I tell you we got whooped by Zanesville as a senior, brother, I mean whooped, brother.
Well, I mean, Logan has not been the same since Pat Angle and Mason.
That's exactly it.
When Pat and Mason Mays left, it was over. I thought about Logan too, man.
Gosh, I mean, I'll put Portsmouth West at 5 because they're going.
I thought you were going to say Portsmouth, and I was
the
like, oh,
Senators,
no.
bro. Hey, Portsmouth had a great year last year too, but hey, the Senators, again, another program down there that doesn't get necessarily the notoriety, but they always come through, man.
And he just got bumped to D6. So,
oh my gosh, they're going to be a terror in D6.
What about Unioto / Zane Trace? What do you think of those two?
Unioto has had a great year, but Unioto is based on classes.
I know.
Unioto had a great run of classes. Coach Hoops coached every sport and probably taught every class with that group for the last like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, at what point do you stop calling it classes and start saying, okay, that's just a program that's being built?
Say your thing, bub. Talk your talk.
I think they opened up with Vinton, which was one of their bigger competitive games.
Yeah.
And then Vinton falls, first round. I mean, like I said, they're bigger schools by class, like you said. I mean, Jackson's the same way. I mean, but there are no other D3s and big size D4s. And the other problem is they don't play each other because Jackson, there's very few people that will play Jackson.
Yeah.
Right.
There are probably smaller teams that don't want to play Unioto or D5s or D4s.
Mm-hmm.
They've had a good run of athletes, but it's also spread out. Like I said, I think the area, the experience, the kids, they see the same kids over and over because you're in the same league for 150 years. Your non-conferences are they're going to be really, really bad or really, really good. There's no in between. Because if your league's tough and you're down, you want to schedule 3 turds. You got to get 3 wins. I mean, you have to try.
You got to.
App State.
You have to.
But then in reverse of Jackson is you want to schedule 5 studs.
You have to.
Exactly, and it's such a weird scheduling ideology. I hate it. I don't think it's a good one.
But here's what people don't understand too. In Ohio, there are no contracts unless your own school district decides they would like to design one and sign it. Kentucky, there is. It's through the state. You have to sign it, and it has to be sent back to the state of Kentucky, the KHSAA. Even if it's cross state, like the old Ironton National game, like it had to have been signed.
Yeah.
In Ohio, it's all gentlemen's agreements. And
Do you prefer the Kentucky way?
They're
Or
pros and
Pros and
cons.
cons of
If
it.
you would do things right, like in Ohio, like I said, because everybody else said, well, we can't do that because of contract. No, there are no contracts. Zero.
Right.
So, like before I got hired at Oak Hill, they had Fairland on the schedule. I mean, Fairland was going to the playoffs.
Another great program recently, by the way. We didn't bring them up.
I had them in the back of my head, but they always schedule Ironton and get cooked.
They
So
had a
does
coach
everyone else in Southeast Ohio, bub.
Well, yeah, and you can't compete. Don't schedule Ironton.
Shut up.
Um,
I agree.
I would go with
Totally agree.
4. I'll put Heath at 4 because I coached there, but also
You did coach at Heath.
yeah. So the COVID years so I played him in 2000. I'd have been a junior in the double overtime, beat him, and then we played Coshocton in the regional finals in a triple overtime. They had their DC is now the head coach who hired me back in 2020. Once we hit and won the first league in 2020, they've taken off. They went back to back. I think maybe a repeat. The kid I started as a freshman late in the year is the all-time touchdown career holder. Coach, one of the best kids I've ever coached there. Like I said, he was as good as Carrico playing linebacker, maybe a little better. Just had no interest. I mean, he blew his knee out, and I would say there were 4, 3. I mean, if we're going that far, I mean,
we can go as far as you want. This is your list, brother.
Yeah. I think when I think Southeast, I'm thinking Southeast 740. I'm going Chillicothe down.
I just think what's on Gridiron Glory.
Correct.
Okay. That's a great way to look at it.
Trimble's a fantastic program. I think they're kind of battling numbers right now, and I do know they have a great group coming. Their youth is loaded. We played them in our biddy league.
Interesting to know.
Nelsonville, kind of the same thing, up and down a little bit with classes.
Nelsonville, I didn't bring up. Nelsonville's another great one.
I guess Bloom. I would throw Bloom in just because I guess they are on Gridiron Glory. They'd be a 3.
Okay, that's fair.
Like I said, Clear Creek's rebuilding and things. They're so much bigger. Like that area just grows because of
it really is.
The canal area is. Bloom will probably end up being almost D1 soon. But like I said, you're going to take bad teams like Lancaster that are bad D1 and play in the OCC. And Logan the same way. I think they're in the OCC now. But I would say, like I said, Ironton, Burke Jackson, 2A, 2B, Bloom. Now this year could be. I don't know what they'll do this year. They had a bunch of good guys graduating things, so it'll be interesting. And then Heath or Sheridan, and then Heath, or Ports of the West Heath. It's kind of a throw up, man. Like it is. Sheridan, if you go that far over, I would not have thought of them, to be honest. But they are very solid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and like we all have different perspectives of what the 740 is, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, like I said, we asked for your perspective this evening. And honestly, I didn't know if we get it, bub. I didn't know if we have to pry out of
the Heath one was the big one that I was like, it's a great one.
Yeah. He was pretty willing to give it up to us here. So we're going to keep it moving forward here, man. So talk to me. We've talked a lot about these teams, but we need to know. This is your night, man. This is your floor this evening. So we've had a lot of opportunity to talk to you. You've been all over the 740. Personally, man, I think you've yet to put your stamp on what 740 football is. I think that time is yet to come for you. I think it's coming. I can't wait to figure out where it comes and how big that stamp is. So I need to know first and foremost, man, who is Coach Kratzenberg? Talk to me offensively, defensively, special teams. Give me Coach Kratz and say 3 to 5 minutes here, man.
I think the biggest thing, Coach Kratz, is we're gonna be hard nosed. I mean, we're gonna go compete and play hard. The biggest thing that guys will take from me is how particulous I am about the little things. I mean, the prep, being locked in. Like when we get up here, this is what we got to get done. Let's get in, get out. The time that's put in. I mean, the time is everything. Like I said, you can't 2 hour practice it in a 2 hour practice. I mean, there's prep that goes into it. Like I said, there's film, there's lifting in 8th period or 7th period if some schools have it.
Luxuries at those schools.
Luxury. Well, that's a huge thing. It's a resource.
Resource. That's it.
I think the biggest thing with me is, like I said, my best skill set has always been relationships with my players, and I've coached at so many different places and seen so many different dynamics geographically. Like I said, when people leave the area, you see what you see. Being in an inner city, Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, really opened my eyes. Playing with guys from the city. I mean, we call Ironton a city and Jackson a city, but that's not inner city. So,
right.
You got guys that are, don't really know where they're going to stay that night and things. So, but those relationships are the biggest thing. And as a head coach, that's been the most important. Like I said, I am who I am. I'm 31, but I'm very blue collared and hard nosed and old school.
Mm-hmm.
That is different nowadays because of the way society is. So I think coming home, that has been a challenge for me because I've been able to coach guys hard, like in my past, hard, and they've accepted it. They appreciate it because, this is not just about football. It's about, life is, we all know, life ain't fair and life's not easy. So,
the world's gotten soft, I'll say it.
It has.
Say it. Talk your talk, bub.
But I offensively, man, like, we were actually going to go, some things that I did in the past and in the kind of what they call now the power spread. We ran, 26, 25 power was the bread and butter, what we were going to do, run the ball, got our quarterback involved in the power game because he was a good athlete.
Yeah.
Kind of did that at Heath too when we were there a little bit. Screen game. I'm not going to run the T, but we were reverting back to the old wing T stuff, red, blue, like a tight end wing. We were running some midline because I got dug in with Coach Humphreys. I got the old playbook from Coach Humphreys when he was at Jackson and things. So I was really trying to base it around what we could do, and we got good at some things. And then I realized that we were, younger coming through. So I've adapted well. I got started defensively early in my career, so I'm a defensive guy first. And I think looking back, that we were very solid on defense my very first year as a head coach. But I soon learned that being a head coach, I was doing too much. Like I was trying to do both, and that's a nightmare. Like I'm probably an offensive coordinator, more recent because that's what I've done this latter half of my career. But I started on defense. But I think if the biggest thing is you've got to play to stop people first. And, the old sayings of block, tackle, take care of the ball, do your job. That's kind of been my 4 things forever. It got beat into my head forever as an old school guy. But, man, the relationships with kids and loyalty is huge, man. Like that's a hard thing to find anymore of. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest. I said my staff has been very loyal to me. There have been some things that not so much you find out later, but I helped 2 guys get 2 coaching jobs that were offered to me. So, like, I don't, at the end of the day, if you're going to ride with me, then we're good because in 10 years from now, you may need a favor and I got you. I mean, that's just that's what I've learned. You get your name and your word in this world. And, we can hash it out. We can disagree. And, I can sit and talk forever, but it's one of those things that's loyalty, do your job. At the end of the day, like this is what I think I'm called to do. I coach. Mm-hmm. People always say, well, you got to be a teacher. I said, well, guys, we're 10 years in now to this career path. I knew I didn't want to teach. I'll sub.
Right.
Sub, run the weight room. Like I said, I'm back doing my master's right now for sports administration, being AD. So, and I landed an AD's job recently. So that's
awesome.
It's been fun, but just the willingness to learn and get better. I mean, I spend my free time, when I wasn't coaching basketball. I mean, but I had a week. Coach McKinnis gave me a week. I would go to a clinic or something, and right back for basketball. I mean, it was having good people around you, man, like I said, that is the key to being a good coach. And like I said, I had some really good, I still have really good mentors and really good people I trust. Like I said, but that's been my experience because a lot of people only get to coach for one or two guys. And, I've been very fortunate to work with numerous. And I think some people look at it bad, but the way I tell people in interviews, the last several years was you can call them and they would say, can Kratz come back and coach quarterbacks or DBs? And they'd say, yeah, absolutely. When's he coming?
Right.
So that's the most important things, relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like you said, man, I'm happy to hear because I'm 32, man. And when I was coaching, I thought relationships were the most important thing imaginable between a coach and players. So it's nice to hear that you value the same things as well. Um, we're going to have to, we're here. We're 45 minutes in, man. We're going to have to eventually talk about this thing. So we're going to have to address it, man. The situation that's transpired in Oak Hill. I'm just going to bring it up, man. It seemed like you were doing all of the right things. And when I say all of the right things, man, all of the right things. You were, from what I understood, sticking around late, showing up early, hanging out with your guys. I mean, here you are in the locker room with your, the locker room in Oak Hill with your squad, or the weight room in Oak Hill with your squad. I've been in these locker rooms. I've been a part of Oak Hill football, and I gotta know, man. What were your thoughts initially after hearing the news that your contract wasn't going to be renewed going into this fall?
Well, I'll comment on that picture first. Those are three guys. All those guys are from different other high schools I coached at. Two were from Dixie Heights. All three were playing college.
Oh, wow.
The kid on the right's the Hankins kid from Rock Hill.
Okay.
And then the kid next to me with the white shirt around his neck, Logan Landers, he was a 6A District Player of the Year at Dixie for us. And then Kel Hawkins, Kel's a special player. He led the state in interceptions in 2019, the year before I got to Dixie again. Because I went to Dixie twice, 2016 and then 2021. And then Kel still cuts my hair when I'm in Cincinnati. So,
there you go.
Like those relationship things are key and they're fun. But, I was very upset, like I said, aggravated. I knew at some point we would have a conversation that would resort one way or another, just to be honest, because like I said, the administration had changed even for, 2 years that I'd been there. I got hired by a different administration. Some guys retired, some guys stepped in, resigned. I said, so the administration turnover was different. I had a mindset. I do feel like we were doing a lot of things right. And I'll be honest, I probably didn't do everything right, which, we could all.
Nobody's perfect.
But when it came to,
it's part of growth at some point, though.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. And I was willing, I called guys, asked questions, because like I said, the head coaching gig is not for everybody. So
sure.
Let's be honest, that wasn't a good job. If I'm 20, was I 28 when I applied? I've been in numerous finals. I think I interviewed in 12 places now to this date. I've only not made it to the finals once.
Wow. You brought up that you were 28. I got great advice. What I thought was great advice from Larry Hall. I was coaching, Larry Hall's a legend in
I love
Ohio
Larry.
football. Larry Hall's a great man. I think very highly of Larry Hall. He told me when I was about 24, bub, he told me, maybe 23, he said, make sure that you don't ever take a high school football coaching job, varsity level coaching job, before you're 30. And I never forgot that. That's almost been a decade ago. He told me that before a high school football Friday night. Just I couldn't even tell you who we were playing, Tyler. He just told me that before a random Friday night, and I thought, okay, that's a guy who knows some stuff. He just took a job in his 70s, bub.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
70s? You know what I mean? He's still living the dream, brother. So shout out to Larry Hall, man, doing what you're doing. He ain't stopping for nothing, bub. You're exactly right.
He's gonna tell you straight up and down how it is too.
Absolutely, brother. So yeah, it's interesting to hear you saying the same things that I heard what I consider to be a very wise man saying later on. So go ahead, man. The floor is
Well,
back,
so I think
to yours.
you don't know what you don't know. I knew I wouldn't be ready no matter what, but I had to take that experience, man. Like I said, I was in the finals, some really good jobs, like several years before, even most recent in the last year, like I was in the finals at a job that I had absolutely no business being in the finals in, and, had a really good shake at it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But,
Let me ask you a question. I don't know. Maybe you don't want to answer it. Did it freak you out? Did it scare you a little bit?
being a head coach,
No, knowing that you may not be ready for a job that you've kind of been in the midst of.
That's me, everyone I apply to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm wired so different, man. Like, I think, and people tell me they're like, hey, you're just cut different. Like,
Yeah.
it's not that I don't care. I've
Right.
had some things happen in life, like I said, in the last several years of being a quote, I guess, adult. That kind of has really flipped the switch for me in life of, we're all here to do something. Everything happens for a reason. And like I said,
Yep.
your
It's all
impact
gonna
is
work
only
out.
last. But like I said, I don't live in fear. There's some things that scare me, obviously, but I've had a job before there. I'll have a job after there. Just like Nick Saban. I mean, he got replaced in 48 hours. He's probably the greatest college coach of all time.
I agree.
Not in a bad way, but business goes on, and that's
a great
kind of
perspective.
How you look at it. But no, I mean, yeah, I was a little nervous, but like I said, I was excited because I knew I wanted to be a head coach since I've kind of got into it. And people had told me you gotta, interview feedback. People I work for, you gotta try it. But like I said, I was getting frustrated because I felt like guys that were getting jobs, previous how Andy Hall got me countless interviews. I just needed a shot, and then I'd be like, "Well, you're in the finals for this one," and I'm like, "Well, I probably shouldn't be, but you just get the door." And
when Andy holds your recommendation, you don't feel worthy. Yeah. I understand it. I've been there, brother.
Well, and I got a great story about him getting me an interview that I was not happy about. Like I said, we'll get to that in a minute.
Another time or this time?
Oh, we'll get to. I can get through it quick on this.
Let's go.
But no, head coaching was. I mean, I do think I am made to be a head coach. I do.
Yeah.
I am a guy who is my ego. Like I said, I'm an assistant now, all the way back to I guess you'd say the bottom. But I'm doing the equipment right now, doing defensive line, and I've really enjoyed just coaching. But like I said, the head coach experience, I learned a ton. But also my downfall was I had a vision and it was not changing.
Right.
I grew up. When I was 16 and first started to drive, I was in Oak Hill all the time.
Right.
So I spent time with those guys and things. So like when I got the opportunity, I went straight back to the roots of Oak Hill football and the Sloans of the world and the Cannons and the Hells and all the old guys.
Yep.
The
legends of Oak Hill.
For sure. And, I said, guys, like we're going to have to do it the right way and we're going to do it old school and we're going to get after it. And Oak Hill's meant, they're hard nosed, or that's what they always were about.
Yeah.
So we had to build it. The rec was starting back up and we did a really good job with that. But I had a vision. I was not going to be steered off of it because I felt, we were doing what we needed to do to build it. I probably didn't give in as much as I should have for what is politically correct. I'm just a no bull, bull spit. Yeah. I'm going to tell you shut up and down.
Yeah,
I don't.
Absolutely.
You can be the president.
You can use Bub's cuss word this week. It's okay. Bub, you willing to give that cuss word up this week, Bub?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm bringing up the Carolina Panthers later on. You sure?
Yeah, I'll still cut.
Okay, cool. Bub's willing to let it go, brother.
Me on my show.
Go ahead. Back to you, brother.
But no, like I said, I had a vision. There are some things when you evaluate a program of, hey, this is worse than what we thought. And everybody's like, yeah, this is, because they've all been around it. I hadn't been around it yet. So
right.
I was like, listen, like even in my interview, we talked about schedule change, the league situation.
Yeah.
There was no movement. I try to do things on my own because I just look at it as business. I'm the head coach. This is what I got to do for my program. I knew we weren't going to go 10-0. I mean, that's hard to do anyway, no matter where you are.
Exactly.
But it was about rebuilding and making sure they understood how to win and doing it right. Because, we don't have any business playing Wheelersburgs and the West and the Waverleys of the world. I mean, like I said, you've been in the league forever, but, why can people move the regions around every 2 years, but we can't discuss league? But I said there was no.
That's a good point too.
It's just the old, same old, and I am not for that. I like to learn. I like to be different. I want to do what's best for me because we had to cancel those games because we had a lot of injuries.
Right.
I got a lot of flack for that. But like I said, that was the best thing for our kids. And, I said, I'll do it again and again. But at the end of the day, like, I can't be mad or upset because somebody's got to do what's best for their kids. I mean, I can't. You can not agree with it, but you got to respect. That was me. So
I don't know if I can ask you this, man. And if not, blink once for yes, twice for no. Was the flack coming from fan base or no?
Nah.
Okay.
Opposing
That's all I needed to hear. Opposing fan bases were upset.
Oh yeah, just because
Okay.
I mean, it may be Johnny's senior night and different things, but like
other
I said,
than because they get the win, other than promotional reasons.
I mean, but at the end of the day, too, like it's just I just view it as such. To me, it's such a different view. Like I said, I want to help everybody I can help, but when it comes to what we got to do with our program, like that's always going to be first.
Right.
That may make people mad. That's okay with me. If you've got a problem, you can call me.
Well, I know those. Man, no one wants to be someone to call off a game or suggest that we should. Brother, you're a football guy. I can tell by listening to you for 30 minutes. You're a football guy. You don't want to cancel a football game for nothing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, you know your players, you know your roster and your squad as good as anybody else. Someone's gotta sit back and go, okay, this is what's best right now for this program.
Well, like I said, we met weekly, like with the administration. Like I said, we collaborated well and understood that, for the safety precaution of, I mean, I've never seen the unfortunate luck that we had of injuries. Like I'd never seen anything like it in my time of playing against people, coaching, watching, and everybody said, like I said, it was just one of those things that, we wanted to be healthy, and we had a lot of freshmen, and we started the year off in JV like 2-0, so we were playing a 4-game schedule, so that was positive, building the program up, and then you got to use those guys for Friday nights. I mean, it was, it was a bloodbath.
Yeah.
But my job is, when you give your kid to me, your child's, safety is number one. I mean, that's.
Well, and you mentioned one thing too, man. We talked about a lot of other big schools, right? Ironton, Wheelersburg, Jackson. Those are teams who have kids at the JV level prepared, right? You've got probably 40, 50% of your roster prepared for a Friday night game. Maybe not 50, 60, 70 snaps, but they're prepared.
Absolutely.
It's different at Oak Hill. It's different D5, D6, now D7, right?
Mm-hmm.
To some degree.
Well, practicing, I mean, you got to think, how are we going to practice? I mean, one of our practices was, let's see how many guys can get in an ice bath, or how many, we were going on against trash cans. I mean, when we played JV, if you dressed as a freshman on the varsity, that was an honor at the end of the year, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, dude. Oh my gosh, absolutely.
But that's the thing is like it's a terrible thing now. You're hoping it could be positive later to be a 4-year starter after, because again, in practice, hell, I got whipped in practice as a freshman. Got whipped.
I can't tell you how many times I watched Bubba get whipped in practice. Shit. It never happened to me, but man, I got cooked in practice, man, for 2-3 years. Yeah, it happened and it was great, man. Like I look back at it at 32 years old, and those are some of the best stories, man.
Oh, for sure.
When I look back and talk about some of the stories, man, where I got just cooked by guys in semi-professional or high school football, man, it's funny, man. Like you got to take your errors and embrace them at some point. Bubba, my brother Bubba has a buddy of ours who's been a friend of ours for 10, 15 years. His name is still Shankweiler in his phone where DJ Shankweiler from
Brandon Shankweiler
ran him over. You're right, Brandon Shankweiler ran him over in a scrimmage.
He's still my contact as Shankweiler.
Shankweiler's phone, man. Like you gotta take those things and run with them, right? Like embrace your flaws, embrace.
You're gonna get got.
You're going to get got. Bubba's gotten his ass whipped. I've got my ass whipped. You've got your ass whipped, right? It's happened.
Oh yeah.
It is what it is, man. We got to look at it at some point and go, okay, how do I learn from it, right? And it seemed
Oh,
like
well,
you were
that's the
trying to
thing.
teach some of those things,
For
man.
sure. It's not a personal attack. It's not a, I mean, it's a, I love playing open gym with grown men. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
you were 13 years old. If you lost, you probably should go home because you're probably not getting picked up again at 13
ain't
years old.
happening.
Exactly.
Ain't
I mean,
happening,
or
Bub.
go to the
Same
park.
shit.
I mean, it
Yep.
was but I mean, like I said, it's a different time. But it was I learned a bunch. I had a vision. I wanted to rebuild the program the right way. I talked to
Yeah.
numerous people, like people even I didn't know about. Hey, like this is my situation. Like, what would you do in my situation?
Right.
I had a very good. I had a lot of support. I'll be honest, inside in the sense of like who I respected and needed to talk to. And I had a
Yeah.
guy, which I'll tell me is Jimbo Sloan. And like I said, he's the
Okay.
goat of Jackson County. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, and I stayed with them, my first year because I still had a lease in Cincinnati my first season. So I was going back and forth still a little bit. I was staying, at Jesse's mom and dad's with them. But like we would sit up every night and talk and just talk about things and draw stuff. And I was like, what do we need to do? Like we were trying to do it right. And we were, like I said, I believe it 100% because if we weren't, Jimbo won a state title with Norm. I mean, he knows what winning looks like. I mean, so
Absolutely.
I felt that we were in good hands, but like I said, it was a business, and people go different ways and believe different things. But in school districts now, we know how it is. There's the things that you got held accountable for in school when we were. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like I said,
different
it's
world now,
Different
man.
philosophies nowadays.
Just 16,
For sure.
17, 18 years later, man, different world now. It's
For sure.
crazy, but that's the way it is.
Yep, absolutely. But no, it was just a business deal that kind of was at the end of its time and road, and it'd been nicer if it was sooner because I felt we were kind of late, really late. And that goes for the kids, it doesn't really go to me of like, we're
It
going
was
to
April, right?
22nd. It was
So late April.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, it was I kind of knew, I'll be honest, like when you get a message of what type of meeting you're going to have, like it was kind of known. But like I said, it was business that, there's a lot of things I think in the world of yes, sirs. But at the end of the day, like me, I'm a $9,000 headache for a school district if we're not agreeing. So I'm easier to get rid of, which is fine. That's no problem. I respect
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
During all that time, I appreciate everybody's support because I mean the outpouring social media support was unbearing almost. I mean, it probably aggravated
Right.
so many people with so much of the support because again, I mean, you guys know, like people ask me what happened, I just tell them. Never once I call anybody and say, hey, like you need to post on Facebook for Kratz. Like,
Right.
guys, I'll be fine. I said, whatever you believe in and your kids believe in, like you keep fighting for it. I appreciate everything. I mean, the place is full of great people. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
The heartbreak is like breaking up with a girlfriend. Like I said, I love the place. People joke all the time. They said, you should really be the mayor as much as you're here and around. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that I, did it to where, that's the only way to do it. You got to be involved from top to bottom all the time. I'm coaching basketball. Haven't played basketball since I was a freshman. Like,
Yeah.
Just we were doing it right. We were at all the events, all the rec board meetings. We really wanted to help the kids. And like I said, it wasn't about us. I mean, we weren't going to win a state title or anything, but we wanted to compete and get in the playoffs. That was what we wanted to do because we were in Division VI. We thought we could do it, but we had some kids coming up. But it's just one of those things that when you get the old guys that were around winning back involved, I mean, Fairchild was involved behind the scenes, which you guys know him well. Like, we worked out together in college forever. Like, Weston Hell is the all-time leading rusher. Drew Cannon's one of the greatest offensive linemen they've ever had. Jimbo Sloan, Jesse's dad. We had multiple guys that were legends there. And like I said, the coaches before me that were successful, the Coach Dugans, the Coach Phillips, Coach Humphreys, like those guys would come on Friday nights.
Right.
I'm going to ask those guys as we're walking in the locker room, like, hey, like I know a lot. And I was coaching coaches because they've only coached there. But like Coach Phillips, Coach Phillips would holler at me or Coach Hump would be like, hey, tell him to come here because he didn't know my name. But it was just like, I love old heads.
That's just Coach Hump, man.
Yeah.
You don't know no one's game, brother.
Hey, I'd say, guys, what do you think? If you got something, let me know.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
I said, kids are. I'm a guy who wants it probably more than most kids because that's how I portrayed high school football, like we did. Like that was my livelihood because I had an older brother who I watched lose the state championship game. So like
Right.
I was like, I'll be damned if that happened to me ever again, ever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's the way I do it, and I think having a vision that way is I'm a little bit different than most around here.
Yeah.
I'm single
Well,
with no kids, so that's I got no time but to push it towards football.
you got no
Amen.
time but to create that vision,
Right.
brother, and you're living the dream as far as Southeast Ohio football goes. So you hit it on the head, man. I played some ball in Oak Hill myself. I was down there for 3 years, like I said, with the semi-professional Jackson County Patriots. I know Oak Hill loves football. That has never. We left Wellston, and at first, I'll be honest with you, I've never admitted this on air. I didn't love the fact that we left Wellston after year one, after what we had built and done. But we did. Oak Hill provided a phenomenal experience for fans, phenomenal experience facility wise for not only us, but for our visitors as well. I get what Oak Hill football is to some degree. So, talk to me just a little bit about just Oak Hill football, not only Oak Hill football, but describe your thoughts as your time as head coach for Oak Hill football, if that makes sense.
I mean, like I said, Oak Hill football, like you said, it was. I mean, they love football. Football. I mean, Oak Hill is a football town. I mean, it's a smaller, we would say smaller Ironton type deal because it was. I mean, they played on the old field for years and years and years. That's where the rec plays now. Like I wanted to get back to the. They may beat us, but people want to say, "Well, man, that Oak Hill, they smacked us right in the mouth," because that's what you'd
Right.
always hear. I mean, like I said, they're always
Right.
hard nosed, tough. That's what we wanted to get back to.
Yep.
We knew that it started, and that first senior class didn't have to stay for me. I mean, like I said, that was a special group. Like I said, they're out of school. We meet with them, and you got some guys like, yeah, I'm out on this guy. And we had guys leave,
Yeah.
and then I ran some more guys off. And, we finished up with 17, but those 6 seniors that stayed, like, they were a special group. They were very supportive eventually of what we wanted to do, and they understood it. But, to demand a lot from a 17, 18-year-old kid that's like, yeah, I don't need you as much as he needs me type deal. So, but,
Sure.
Oak Hill football is just that blue collar, like block tackle, like we're going to hit you and we're not going away. We're not afraid. And that was kind of what we were rebuilding. The weight room, like I said, facilities wise, we had great facilities. We were getting to work on some upgrades and things, but the weight room was huge. The time that needed to be spent towards Oak Hill football was not. We turned it around completely. We started doing some attendance things and rewards just because you had to, it was just you could come to Monday and then you wouldn't see him again until next Tuesday. Like that had to stop. So we really put an emphasis on responsibility teams, kind of like what Andy does. What kind of works, what doesn't work. But at the end of the day, those kids at Jackson, if you said you got to be here at 3 a.m. to lift and get it in before your baseball game, well, we're going to show up.
Yeah.
That's kind of where where that wasn't quite all the way dug in the ground yet, where we were kind of struggling towards the end there. I had some issues because I demanded it. But again, that's how I was. So it's hard. That's where I struggled a little bit. But you got to be strong. If you're going to be physical and hit, you got to be strong. I mean, and you got to have no fear. And we fed them all the time. The gear was all. I mean, I had 3 bags of gear, of Oak Hill gear, in only 2.5 years I was there. So, we definitely loved on the kids. We were hard. I mean, I'll be honest. Our staff was hard-nosed because all those guys were coached hard. I mean, that's how there's a lot of kids that are very receptive. There's a couple that were excited to hear about this tonight. But like I said, I wanted to turn it kind of back the old way first to get our roots based up, physical, not afraid. But, like I said, the winning, you got to be realistic. I mean, winning is going to come, but you got to solidify a foundation. You can't keep knocking the foundation out of a house or keep starting over.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, obviously there comes a time where you got to just go all in on what that rebuild looks like and what that
For sure.
rebuild is. And I'm with you on that. I think Bub kind of shaking his head agrees with you
Hmm.
on the same wavelength here. Real quick, man, we've talked a lot about Oak Hill, so let me ask you this first and foremost. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the fans of Oak Hill, the supporters that you had in Oak Hill? You had quite a bit of people, man, notably on Facebook, Instagram. I saw Twitter as well. I mean, or X, whatever they call it now. Do you have
Right.
anything you'd like to say to those folks, man?
Well, and like I said, I've talked to, as many have reached out to me, as they posted. Like I said, that was, what you do on social media is totally, on you. And like I said, some people it would hurt in their job or may lose friends over, I guess, is from what I've been told. But like I said, the people that supported me, I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Beyond humbling. Like I said, I mean, I'm a low key kind of guy off the grid. Like I said, there was a lot of people for years that didn't even know where I lived. They're like, oh, where do you live? You live in Oak Hill, right on this road. I'm like, no, I have an apartment in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Um, the support was great. The community was great. I was when you really invest into the people, they'll invest back, and I think that's kind of where that came from because I painted the old rec field every Thursday morning for their games, like being involved, being in the meetings, taking care of kids. We had a lot of bad luck with, car wrecks and ATV wrecks and this and that and the other. I mean, like I said, it was just, taking care
It's
of kids.
everything, man.
Oh,
It's
it
not
was,
just
you
football
can't make it
related.
up. Um,
Man.
it was, the support was great. The people were great. Like I said, I loved my time with those people. Because at the end of the day, like I said, a lot of the real ones know the truth. They understand what we were doing. Um,
Right.
and like I said, I'm not there for me because, like I said, really, you don't do it for money. I was losing money. Like I said, I save way more on gas now, driving 45 down, 45 back, but I'm
Sure.
across the bridge now, and like I said, it's a lot easier on me. But for the kids, it was tough. But like I said, I didn't hold back, so I don't have any regrets with them, and they were great. The youth, I mean, the groups of guys that helped me, the loyalty from the guys that were loyal to me, I can't say enough. I mean,
Yep.
there's a long list of guys, like I said, and being there, I'd never seen, not towards the end, but like when we were in the midst of it started, Coach McKinnis, who coach at Jackson, was there forever. Like I said, he and I
Mhm.
were at the hip, like a consultant for each other, to bring those older guys back and have them involved.
Yeah.
Everybody that was coaching a sport there was on the same page of like workouts. When's this available? Hey, can you help me do this? Can you get me shirts ordered, Kratz? Can you go to Cincinnati? Like, we
Right.
were such a well-working group together. I do believe we were doing it on our own a lot more than we should have been. But like I said, that's just that's part of the nature of the beast, and we
Sure.
cared a lot. But like I said, I appreciate the support and what people believe in me and giving me, the school district for giving me the opportunity at 28-year-old kid, 29, to see,
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
crack at it. Learned
Yeah.
a bunch, what to do, what not to do.
Yep.
Like I said, you got to have, I've been told recently, to take a job, like I said, you got to have athlete support and good leadership. So I think, having all those three and you do your research well, like that point in time, like I was like, hey, let's get it. I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
But like I said, I learned a bunch. I enjoyed it. Nothing but, appreciative for the opportunity. Like I said, wasn't on my terms, like you said, but and like I
Yeah.
said, I'm a big enough man to take it off the chin, and hey,
Yeah.
we'll find it. We'll move on to the next one. And like I said, I've got no ill feelings. Disagree
Right.
with some things, absolutely.
Sure.
I'll voice my opinion, absolutely. That's probably what got me
Yeah.
in a little bit of trouble. Um, but like I said, and that's who I am. Like I said, you can't. I'm not gonna. I've always been told, don't stick to your guns. Always don't. Being respectful is a big thing, but I'm pretty cut and dry of I'm going to be me all the time, and no money or no position or title is going to change that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It kind of seems that way. It kind of seems like you're kind of a noble, kind of cut and dry guy. But you're also willing to learn, and you're willing to take from instances that don't exactly go your way and learn from them. And I think that's what any head coach, young head coach, would do. And we're down for that. Bub, we're going to let this gentleman go in just a moment. Bub, before we go, do you have anything else you'd like to add to Mr. Tyler Kratzenberg joining us this evening?
No, we covered a lot in an hour.
Covered. We don't usually go an hour, man, but hey, I told you, brother, we were excited to listen to what you had to say this evening, and we're just happy that you took the time to join us here, and we're wishing you nothing but the best of luck here going forward. We're rooting for you. I know here on the 740 Sports Show. So whatever is next for you, brother, you got our blessing, and we're just happy for you. So good luck to you going forward, man. Thank you for again
Absolutely
taking the time.
appreciate you guys having me on, and you guys growing this thing is great. Like I said, because I remember both of you guys playing against Bub.
Yep.
Guys that share those stories, those are the best times. Talking about them, reliving them. I've got all of my high school game films in a bucket. So every DVD that was ever we played is in the bucket.
That's awesome.
I might hit you up for that Ironton one in 2010.
Oh man,
absolutely.
Of course he is, man. Hey, he's going to continue.
I'm trying to get my hands on any film. I've got some, but
hey, he doesn't have much, man. I give him credit for that. So, hey, that was a good one too. That was like a classic. That was a Jackson Ironton classic.
That rivalry has created so many classics over the years.
I'll tell you what. A couple of because Ironton dominated that for a long time leading up to that. A couple of Jackson wins in that time, and then kind of a back and forth series since then. Minus that godforsaken #1 ESPN play.
Yeah,
God, we gotta get that out of our memories. Pissed. Oh, it's so terrible. Bub used his cuss word. There it was. Hey, Tyler, man, thank you so much for joining us, brother. We appreciate it, and good luck to you, man.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep, our pleasure. That was Tyler Kratzenberg joining us here on the 740 Sports Show. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Bub, our wrap-up presented by Hothead Burritos. Go ahead and download the app. Let those points add up. Bub, you got anything for us before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good today.
You're good?
Yeah, I had something I thought of earlier that I was going to bring on the show, but I can't remember it. It's been since 8 o'clock this morning.
You don't want to talk about puck guarding?
What?
Puck guarding.
Oh, no, especially not puck guarding.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and bring up one thing. The city of Jacksonville and the Jacksonville Jaguars agreed to a new stadium deal, Bub. Have you read about this?
Nope.
Okay, well, the deal is worth $1.4 billion.
Yeah.
Dollars, and it will tie Jacksonville the Jags to Jacksonville for the next 30 years at least. The city is contributing $775 million.
I think it's stupid.
The Jags, hang on, listen to this. So 775. The Jags are throwing in 625 mil.
Yeah.
Okay, it's almost 50-50. It's not quite.
It's still stupid the city has to pay that much portion of it.
Okay, I agree with that to some degree, but hey, 1.4 billion, hey, you should see this thing. Super futuristic, whatever.
It doesn't need to be.
I get it. But the team will play games at Everbank Stadium with reduced capacity, 43.5 thousand less fans through 2026. A temporary stadium in 2027. My guess is Germany. And then they'll be playing games in 2028 from the new stadium.
Oh, I mean, good for them. They get a new stadium. Like I said, I think it's ridiculous that taxpayers have to pay that kind of money. And it's stupid that you have to have that futuristic of a stadium in Jacksonville when there's going to be hurricanes hitting it.
Can I tell you why it's funny, Bub?
Why?
You got those numbers, right? 775 is what. Okay, 775 is what the taxpayers are paying.
Yeah.
Jags are paying 625. The city of Charlotte has approved a $650 million renovation.
That's good for Carolina. I think it's stupid still. I can't believe the people voted for that.
The city will donate $650 million while David Tepper, who is worth $20 billion.
Yeah, that's on the city. They voted for it. They're stupid for doing that.
I knew this would trigger Bob. Yeah. He is the 94th richest man in the world, is only donating 150, while the Jags and their expensive beers and Trevor Lawrence's contract is donating 625 million to their stadium. Bob, go.
No, it's just stupid. I'm done with it. It's just stupid. I've given my 2 cents on it. That's stupid.
It's absolutely bizarre, Bob. I didn't think the one in Charlotte would actually pass, unbeknownst to me.
The people of America will vote on the dumbest shit in this world.
Bank of America Stadium is well paid for. because of the taxpayers of Charlotte. It's crazy, but it's not crazy in the 740, and that's what we love. Bub, you don't have anything else before we go?
Nope, I'm good after hearing that.
All right, Bub is done. Trav, the producer, is done. Hey, thank you for taking your time to watch the 740 Sports Show. We appreciate it. Go ahead and follow the Facebook, like the Facebook, and follow the Instagram at 740 Sports Show. Thank you for your time this evening. As always, take it upon yourself to make life better for every single person you meet. That's going to do it for us for episode 47 of the 740 Sports Show.
Bye.